This is Belinda Burleson, elementary school counselor. Today I'm reading to you from the book What to Do When Bad Habits Take Hold. A kid's guide to overcoming things like nail biting, thumb sucking, hair twirling, scab picking, shark chewing, any number of things. That I picked it in particular because I thought it would be good to work on those of us who have bad habits that involve having our hands near our face. Okay, so while I am reading in the first chapter, I want you to think about something that used to be hard for you but isn't hard anymore. Something like learning to ride your bike. It was super hard, maybe, and maybe you were so excited when you got it done. How did you finally get to ride your bike? How did you finally accomplish that super hard task? So while I'm reading, draw a sketch of you doing something that you can do now that used to be really hard for you. Okay. So remember, way back when you were a little baby, when you were just learning to walk, just learning to talk, the world looked huge and sometimes scary, and there were all sorts of things that you couldn't possibly do, even if you really wanted to try. You couldn't tie your own shoes, you couldn't write your own name, you couldn't even get a spoon to land in your mouth. Here is someone trying to get his food in his mouth. Those things were just too hard, and it stayed that way for a long time. But when you started to learn, you learned to tie your shoes and write your name, and you learned to eat correctly, and you learned to walk and talk and add numbers together, and you learned to snap your fingers and brush your teeth. And everything you learned, even the things you can't really remember learning, you learned one step at a time. Like here he is, grown up, no food in the floor, no food on the side of his face. He learned to do that, even if you don't remember. Here is one on washing your hands. Ba-dum-ba-dum. Washing your hands. Yep, even that was once tricky for you. There are lots of steps. You turn on the water, you squirt some soap, you rub your hands together, and you rinse them clean. It's easy now, and you go through all the steps without even thinking about them. But if you stand in a public bathroom, you'll hear parents holding their little kids up to the sink and telling them, rub your hands together. That's because little kids don't know they're supposed to do that. But you know because someone once taught you. And then you practiced over and over again, and you practiced washing your hands so much, it became a habit. A habit is something you do again and again without really thinking about it. Getting your backpack before you head out to school is a habit. So is reaching for a fork when you sit down to eat, or writing your name at the top of your paper, or snuggling down in your favorite snuggle position before you go to sleep. It's all a habit. You probably have a ton of habits because everyone does. So think about something you do in a certain way. Something you do again and again without needing to think about it. So I want you to switch your sketch to drawing something that is a habit for you. Something that you do a lot. Okay. Now, people work at learning good habits. It is good to have some good habits. Your parents probably have some habits that they want you to learn. And those are things that they remind you about over and over because they want you to be able to do it on your own someday. Okay, so an example of some good habits. Do you know anybody who does these? Some helpful habits might be saying excuse me after burping, using a napkin when you're at the table, coughing into your arm like this or your elbow so you're not getting germs on your hands, holding the door when somebody's behind you instead of letting it shut in their face, chewing with your mouth closed, saying hello to people you meet, brushing your teeth every single day, waiting in line without pushing, making your bed in the morning, and waiting for your turn to speak. Don't interrupt. It's rude. These are all examples of helpful habits. Helpful habits are polite, or they keep you healthy, or make your day run more smoothly. Helpful habits are habits to hold on to. But there are other kind of habits too. Habits that aren't healthy, habits that end up causing problems for people. Now, most of us have a few of these not so helpful habits too. In fact, almost all of us, including me. So think about all the people you know, grown ups, kids, and even yourself. So put a check mark. Well, we're not putting a check mark. You're going to think about any helpful habits that you have or that anybody you know have. Doesn't have to be just you. And you can put a tally mark on your sketch paper instead of a check mark. Not so helpful habits that you know at least one person who does these. Leaving the lights on when they leave the room. Nobody's in the room and the light stays on. I know somebody that leaves TV on and leaves the room. Biting or picking at your fingernails. Talking with a full mouth. Sucking your thumb. Leaving dirty laundry laying on the floor and not in the hamper where it belongs. Twirling hair until it gets all snarly. Chewing on clothes. Picking at cuts or mosquito bites or scabs until they breathe. Not flushing the toilet. Leave the bathroom without flushing the toilet. Or not having a regular toothbrush schedule. So if you're reading this book or listening to me read this book, chances are good that you have a not so helpful habit. Congratulations though. Not because you have bad habits, but because you're admitting that you have them. Some people try to pretend that their bad habits aren't bad at all, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. And some people feel ashamed about their bad habits, maybe because those habits have been the focus of so much negative attention. So here is this guy. All these people making a bad habit the focus of negative attention. You have probably tried to stop your bad habit, maybe lots of times. Well, guess what? You don't have to do that anymore. From now on, you don't have to try to not suck your thumb or not to bite your nails. You don't have to work on stopping whatever it is that you're doing. That's because it's nearly impossible to simply stop a bad habit. But it is possible, very, very possible, to develop a new habit and to make the new habit take the place of the old habit so that the old habit doesn't bother you anymore. Lots of kids have learned to do it, and you can too. Keep reading, and you will learn how. That is the end of chapter 1. Look down in the comment section and I will put links to the other chapters. I hope you enjoy.